Hey everyone, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. My name is Dave, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about optical illusions of the mind and of the nervous system, and how this relates to personal transformation, how this relates to healing in general, and how psychedelics kind of fit into this experience of these nervous system optical illusions. If this sounds interesting to you, please watch on. And just really quick here, in case you don't know me, I want to just say hello and a warm welcome to you. My name is Dave. I'm a coach and hypnotherapist. I work in the psychedelic space with people, mostly around kind of integration work, preparation work, doing personal transformation work in between psychedelic sessions, setting people up to have really powerful transformative experiences. So if you are interested in personal development, and understanding psychedelics more deeply, I bring 30 years of psychedelic experience to what I'm talking about here, 8 years of coaching, and just like a bunch of studies. So if that's your interest, welcome, you're in the right place, and I'm really grateful to have you aboard for the conversation. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Okay, so I want to introduce what is really kind of old information to you, framed in a new way. I want to offer you this new kind of concept to describe something that I think clarifies a little bit, something that is really important to know about your kind of psychology, your personal development, your personal transformation process that a lot of people don't recognize. But there's kind of the jargon around it, the traditional way of talking about it, I think is a little confusing. And I think there's a simpler way of describing it. So I'm introducing you guys to this concept called the optical illusion of the nervous system. So what do I mean here? So in my group coaching course that I've been doing with my group, we've been talking about one of the elements of recognizing when we're triggered. And one of the ways that you recognize when you're triggered is and this is really what defines having a problem, having an issue, is that we have what's called a schema around this issue. And a schema is kind of a jargony word to describe that when we have the issue come up, it's not just a narrative, although there is usually a narrative involved. It's not just a thought loop, although often there's a thought loop involved. There's often also body sensations and muscle tension patterns. There might be mental images and visualizations we might make. We might remember or regress back to other experiences earlier in life that kind of shape this perception. We kind of get this whole package that kind of fires up in our nervous system. It's almost like we switch to a different personality structure under the surface. That's another way of thinking about it from an IFS lens, is like we have a new part that comes up and communicates. And as it kind of boots up and takes over our nervous system, we think differently, our focus changes, our value system changes, the things we say to ourselves changes, the things we're tuned into and thinking about changes, the visual memories we have change. Our whole orientation can shift, and that can include a whole like somatic shift that happens too. Maybe your throat tightens up, maybe you start sweating, maybe you space out and dissociate. There's a lot of different ways that this shows up, but it's generally a subtle or not so subtle kind of booting up of a different version of your nervous system that's geared up for a response to a different thing that comes as part of the package of having the issue. So if you're anxious, there's going to be a certain set of muscle tensions and certain focus and a certain way of thinking. If you're depressed, likewise, but it's going to probably feel very different in your body, but similar thing. You're going to have a narrative. You're going to have a set of body sensations. You're going to have a sense of where your focus is, where your focus isn't, this kind of a thing, right? Excuse me. So we've been talking a lot about this in my group coaching because I'm teaching my group how to recognize this when it happens, and then how to transform it, how to start to shift the nervous system pattern of the schema, of the issue, because it really is a pattern in the nervous system. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that really what this is that on one level, it's real. It's true. It's an actual experience we're having. But on another level, it's kind of like an optical illusion, where it's like when the issue gets booted up and the narrative gets booted up, it's more like we feel like it's true and it looks true and it seems real. And we get so convinced that whatever the problem is all there is and is the total truth, that we have a hard time stepping outside of it and realizing how we might be kind of hyper-focusing or hyper-fixating or kind of segmenting off the rest of the story into this one particular thing and allowing that to become this kind of overly amplified experience, right? And so it really is like an optical illusion where if you're looking at it from a particular angle and you're looking at it a particular way, it takes over your perception as being real. But that doesn't mean it really is. And so this is kind of where psychedelics can come in. So how do psychedelics impact the experience of these kind of nervous system optical illusions that we go through that define the problems we have, whether it's depression, anxiety, trauma, triggers, overwhelm, what have you, right? So psychedelics can do one of two things here. So generally speaking, because we're not good at challenging our own these optical illusions or our own experience, and we tend to take whatever's happening in our nervous system as being real and true, right? Most people are under-rehearsed at getting outside the box of their own perception enough to see that it's just one point of view. And so when you add psychedelics into the mix, I think one of the things that can happen is that they interrupt the pattern of your normal functioning in your nervous system enough that it gives you, it's almost like if you're looking dead on a optical illusion and it looks a certain way, and then you take like 5 steps to the side and you look at it from a different angle and you realize how it's an illusion. It's kind of like that for the nervous system. Like you take a psychedelic and it can kind of interrupt your pattern just enough that it gives you the room to kind of step outside your normal angle of view on yourself or on whatever it is you're thinking about, and gives you this ability to look at it from just enough of a different angle that you go, oh, shit, that looks totally different over here, right? And so that's one way that they can help to start to interrupt these schema patterns, because the bottom line is it's like a feedback loop. Like the moment the schema boots up or the optical illusion boots up and overtakes your nervous system, it's going to create a feedback loop that self-perpetuates. And usually this involves ruminating and overthinking and over-triggering. I'm sure you guys have heard that if you don't think and you don't react to like an emotional reaction, an emotion lasts, the neurochemistry of an emotion lasts about 90 seconds before it starts to fade away. Right. So the reason we get stuck in these long, periods of feeling deeply triggered and emotional is because we are re-triggering it over and over and over. Right. And the reason we're re-triggering it over and over and over is that our nervous system likes to be stable. So it's self-reinforcing. So it creates a feedback loop of whatever it is we're experiencing, whether it's pleasure or discomfort or sadness or boredom or whatever the thing is. It kind of loops, right? So the idea here is that we want to start to find good ways to start to interrupt these optical illusions, these schemas, to start to interrupt the pattern a bit, to give us a little room to work with ourselves and create a shift, create an opening where we can shift into a different way of being and feel different. And that starts to create the experience of transformation. This is something I teach in my group coaching, and something I do with my clients. And so psychedelics can give you that opening. They can give you not even just a small shift in your perception of yourself with the problem, but a dramatically different point of view, right? So at their best, I think that's part of what they can offer us. But the other side of that coin, to be clear, again, one of my intentions here on the channel is to try to render both the psychedelic experience and the process of healing and personal growth and personal transformation in the most high fidelity, clear understanding, clear light, clear language that I possibly can, right? So to be holistic, the other side of the coin here is that psychedelics can create new optical illusions of the mind and of the nervous system, right? So this is the other side of the coin, is yes, they can kind of pop the bubble of your delusional problem, help you get outside of it enough to go, whoa, holy shit, I was stuck in a bubble of this thing and it sucked. And now I kind of see it from a different point of view. And that gives me a hope or a sense of what I might be able to do to shift, or that I can shift. The other side of the coin is they can introduce new bubbles of self-delusion that we can get caught up in that are equally, what's a good term for it? Equally upsetting, discomforting, and, for lack of a better term, dysfunctional, let's say, not really helpful. So there's that too, right? So you do want to be careful about what perceptions and perspectives you sign on to and agree to and believe in and give your consent to that arise in your nervous system, because your nervous system will kick out kind of half-baked thoughts, emotional thinking, deluded thinking, projections, desires, turned into beliefs, right? Things we want to be true, but like really aren't. Alongside of these moments of clarity and these moments of insight, or these moments of just spaciousness and, healthy, space from whatever the problem is. So you want to be careful and you want to be discerning. I think this is another one of my big messages that I'll be saying over and over and over here, and reemphasizing is the importance of being discerning with the insights we have on psychedelics and the experiences, and really quality controlling them, thinking deeply about them, not just blindly swallowing our own conclusion making as true because it felt true in the moment, but really like going over it, really either owning it as like, yeah, no, that's right, or being like, oh, I don't know if that's right, and really discerning and being clear what might not be good to buy into. But with all that being said, yeah, this is a new way to think about whatever your trigger is, whatever your problem is that it's often like an optical illusion of the nervous system. And it's going to feel true. It's going to resonate with your whole body, as these issues usually do. It's going to possibly take over your whole sense of what reality is, or your whole sense of yourself and what's true about you. These optical illusions can absolutely dominate your attention, your emotions, your somatic sensations in your body, which are often, coupled with your emotions and with your attention. They can dominate your sense of what's possible for yourself or for those around you. It can dominate, sense of ownership, responsibility dynamics, blame dynamics, all kinds of stuff, right? And so I just mostly want to get you starting to not only recognize this, but start to think about, when these things bubble up through you, how they are optical illusions. And how, if you can just hold on to that awareness and stay present with, oh, this is true for some part of me. These emotions and these thoughts are real. They're in me. They exist. I don't have to invalidate them, but I can also see them for the kind of bubble of meaning making coming up from my unconscious that they are, and that it might be an optical illusion. And I think that might be really helpful just for you to start to think of it this way. Like, oh, I have these optical illusions, and if I let myself get fooled by them, they will totally twist my brain in knots, but it doesn't mean that it's the whole truth of the only thing that's possible for me. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this is a helpful, empowering, healing, interesting message. Like I've been saying in other videos, and I'll probably be saying more often here, it would really be helpful to me if you got this far in the video, if you leave a comment or let me know down below. If this hits home for you, if this resonates for you, if you had an aha moment in this video, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to figure out what content is connecting with people, what content isn't. The best way for me to do that, quite honestly, is to receive feedback from you. So if you wouldn't mind leaving some sort of feedback, whether it's a thumbs up or a comment or whatever, I greatly appreciate it. And I guess that's all for now. Happy holidays to any of you that are celebrating the holidays. And I will see you guys shortly. Much love to you all. Take care.